So picture this. You're in the middle of a rural island, and the year is 1143. Suddenly you hear your name called out to you. When you turn to see only a horse with no rider, but strangely glowing yellow eyes. Blacker than the night sky, but with no large bodies of water nearby, this couldn't be the Kelpie. And you'd be right. But it's no less troubling to catch a ride. This is only one form of the shape-shifting Irish spirit known as the Pooka. So Pooka is Irish for spirit or ghost, or in Old English, goblin. This is a creature of Celtic, English, and Channel Islands folklore, considered to be bringers of both good fortune and bad fortune. They can help or hinder rural or marine communities. Pookai can have dark or white fur or hair, and the creatures were said to shapeshift, and it could take the appearance of horses, goats, cats, dogs, and hares. They may also take a human form, which includes various animal features, such as ears or a tail. There are many myths about this creature from all sorts of cultures, dating as far back as the 8th century Common Era, with analogues in Germanic, Scandinavian, Norwegian, Swedish, Danish, Cornish, and Norman French. They are featured in carvings in ancient tombs and mounds, and in most languages is always a devil, ghost, evil spirit, or generally a bad thing. However, not always. The Pooka may be beneficial. Thomas Catley, a noted fairy mythologist, said, "Notions respecting it are very vague," and in a brief description gives an account collected by Thomas Crofton Croker, best known for his fairy tale legends and traditions of south of Ireland, 1825 to 1828. This account is from a boy living near Killarney off the coast of Lothian. He said that old people used to say the Pookas were very numerous long ago. They were wicked-minded, black-looking, bad things that would come in the form of wild colts with chains hanging about them, and did much harm to the unwary travelers. It was also said that children were warned not to eat overripe blackberries, because this was a sign of the nearby Pooka who had claimed them for his own. Realistically, this is most likely because of the fermentation process that many overripe fruits end up going through. The naturally occurring alcohol would have been intoxicating and might have seemed to the ancient Celts like a fairy or spirit had inhabited their child for a time. Maybe that's why one of the biggest themes for the Pooka's folklore is their proclivity for mischief. They are commonly said to entice humans to take a ride on their back, giving the rider a wild and terrifying journey before dropping the unlucky person back at the place where they were taken from. This lore bears similarities to other Irish folk creatures, such as the Dowling Maith, a good people, or the Suassee fairy host, said to target humans on the road or along their regular passes. These human encounters of the Pooka tend to occur in rural isolated places, far from settlements or homes. While Pooka stories can be found across northern Europe, Irish tales specify a protective measure for encountering a Pooka. It is said that the rider may be able to take control of the Pooka by wearing sharp spurs, using those to prevent being taken or to steer the creature if already on its back. A translation of an Irish Pooka story, An Bucáil Boagas an Pooka, told by storyteller Sean O'Croinan, describes this method of control of the Pooka as done by a young boy who had been the creature's target once before. A farmer asked the lad what had kept him out so late, and the lad told him. "I have spurs," said the farmer. "Put them on you tonight, and if he brings you, give him the spurs." And this the lad did. The thing threw him from his back, and the lad got back early enough. Within a week, the Pooka was before him again, after housing the cows. "Come to me," said the lad, "so that I can get upon your back." "Have you the sharp things on?" said the animal. "Certainly," said the lad. "Oh, then I won't go near you," the Pooka said. The protective power of the sharp things, as they are always referred to by the Pooka in the tales, may stem from the Irish belief that cold iron has the ability to ward off the supernatural. Oh, so that's an Irish belief. Interesting. It's certainly something that holds true in my time. Kiki can't stand being around cold iron. You can also see this sort of folkloric inspiration in various games like Dungeons & Dragons, when the Forgotten Realms lore has cold iron as a type of iron mined deep underground. It was forged using a special process at lower temperatures than normal iron or steel in order to preserve its delicate properties. Cold iron in Faerun is said to be more effective against all types of fae, from Eldrin to demons and even ghasts. Interestingly, this also brings us right back to the Pooka, as ghost, devil, or fairy are all possible translations of the word. In contrast to all the bad, Pooka is represented as being helpful to farmers by Lady Wilde, who relates the following tale. A farmer's son named Padraig one day noticed the invisible presence of a Pooka brushing by, and called out to him, offering a coat. The Pooka appeared in the guise of a young bull, and told him to come to the old mill at night. From that time onward, the Pooka came secretly at night and performed all the work of milling the sacks of corn into flour. Padraig fell asleep the first time, but later concealed himself in a chest to catch sight of them, and later made a present of a fine silk suit. This unexpectedly caused the Pooka to go off to see a little of the world and cease his work. But by then the farmer's wealth allowed him to retire and give his son an education. Later, at Padraig's wedding, the Pooka left a gift of a golden cup filled with a drink that evidently ensured their happiness. What a wonderful wedding gift, and from a supposedly malevolent spirit. Though again, like they said, not always. Another example of the Pooka as a benevolent or protective entity comes in tales where a creature intervenes before a terrible accident or before the person is about to happen upon a malevolent fairy or spirit. In several of the regional variants of the stories where the Pooka is acting as a guardian, the Pooka identifies itself to a bewildered human. This is particularly noteworthy, as it is in contrast to the folklore of many other folkloric beings who guard their identities or names from humans. But I guess for every story of them being good and fanciful creatures, there's also going to be stories of the Pooka being bloodthirsty and vampire-like creatures. Other stories even say they are man-eating beings, hunting down, killing, and eating their victims. Oh, that sounds more like this one we're coloring right now, doesn't it? Just look at those claws and those teeth. But again, according to legend, the Pooka is a deft shapeshifter, capable of assuming a variety of terrifying or pleasing forms. It can take a human form, but will often have animal features, such as the ears or tail. As an animal, the Pooka will most commonly appear as a horse, a cat, a rabbit, a raven, fox, wolf, goat, goblin, or dog. No matter what shape the Pooka takes, its fur is almost always dark. It most commonly takes the form of a sleek black horse with a flowing mane and luminescent gold eyes. Ultimately, the versatility of the Pooka makes it a popular choice for fiction and mythology writers. The appearance of the Pooka in popular cultures can't possibly be ignored. Have you ever seen the movie Donnie Darko? Remember Frank the Rabbit? How about the White Rabbit from Alice in Wonderland that's also an allegory in The Matrix? While not named as such, we can very clearly draw a relation to these beings and the resemblance they bear to the Pooka. White or black fur or hair, human and animal features. In Donnie Darko, the titular character, played by Jake Gyllenhaal, asks, "Why are you wearing that stupid rabbit suit?" Clearly he's mistaken this figment of his imagination as a person that resembles a rabbit. And Frank responds with, "Why are you wearing that stupid human suit?" This is a clear indication that the rabbit, likely inspired by the Pooka, is a manifestation of Donnie's dark desires. And through the looking glass, Alice follows a white rabbit on a terrifying and strange journey into Wonderland before being dropped off harmlessly at home. We know that the Pooka can also have white fur, and it resembles the way that this being will whisk people away but ultimately mean them no harm. Creatures called Pooka or some other similar term are also present in Shakespeare, Piers Anthony, Darby O'Gill and the Little People, the Spiderwick Chronicles, and even the Cheshire Cat is said to be inspired by some appearance of the Pooka. Changeling the Lost features Pooka as one of the many kiths for players to choose, sort of like a character class. It has been in games as far back as Dig Dug in 1982 and The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt in 2015. So naturally, we must have Pookas represented in Tales of Atonement. Pooka were among the most numerous of fae creatures to enter our world in the year 2000, and apart from elves and dragons, are the ones who most like to mingle with modern humans. An entire culture of people rose up around the union of humans and Pooka that we now call the Faunai. They've lost their ability to shapeshift from their fae parents, but still maintain some of the telltale animal traits, akin to the Japanese Kemonomimi. In fact, many fauna that live in Daiton have adapted this name for themselves. But this is the Pooka as Cassandra would have seen it, as a young lass in Galway in the mid-13th century. I think it's pretty cool, but also terrifying. What do you think? Thanks for coming in and being part of this with us again. Viewing these videos every week along with liking, subscribing, and ringing my bell tells YouTube that this is the kind of content you like to watch, and helps us reach out to more and more people, growing, feeding, until we dominate the algorithm and eventually the world. I have no idea where that came from. Anyway, if you'd like to support us directly, follow the Patreon link in the description so you can have your name read at the end of each project, like the following: Shadow Fox, Arya Gamari, Charles Tam, Jace Marlowe, and Lunder Lumen. Art for this week's project was provided by Rico from Fiverr. I'll provide a link to their business down in the description as always. Please go check them out. They make wonderful, scary character designs that might be perfect for the coming month.